I promise I can help you be with your daughter again. Now, are you ready to redeem yourself?
Absolutely. My days of breaking into places and stealing shit are done. What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some shit.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Morose Project. I'm Brad Rosen.
And I'm Eric Sinisteros.
And here we go, round two.
Deliciousness.
For everybody at home, we totally just recorded like an almost hour-long episode, and then something
The gods
happened.
of Egypt decided to ruin it for us.
Yeah, I was trying to cut off. We messed up like one part at the very end, and I was trying to just cut off that last part. And for some reason, instead of only cutting off that part that messed up, it cut off everything but the part that messed up.
Basically went from a 12-inch sub back down to like 2-inch sub.
Worse than that, it went from a 58-minute video to a 9-second.
That's freaking
Like,
horrible.
I'm so mad. So anyway, yay. So we're gonna
back at it.
We're gonna try and go over this again. Hopefully, it may recapture the magic, if you will. Doctor Strange magic.
That should totally be our title, dude. Magic time.
I already told you what the
Oh, you did?
episode
Okay,
is.
yeah.
I'm not gonna. I don't know why I'm not gonna say it
No
here
spoilers.
because it's gonna be on. Like as soon as they click the video, they're gonna see the title. So, but I don't know. It's funny to me. I like it.
It's our way of holding spoilers from actually telling spoilers about this movie we're talking about.
Which we're about to spoil the movie anyway.
Yes.
But so this is gonna be weird. We're gonna just literally talk about. Or not exactly the same stuff, but we're going to hit the same topics we just talked about.
No.
It's going to be rough. And now I'm going to be like, I just said that, but I won't remember if I just said it on this episode that got fucked up, or if it was something I said on a previous episode. I'll be like, I feel like I said that before, and I'll be like, yeah, I did, because fucking it just happened on that thing that got fucked up. But
We saw Doctor Strange today.
well, yeah, we'll get to that. But
okay.
first, I have to explain, and this is my only time that I'm gonna explain one of these. But I have to explain it. Last time, our little tag at the end with the what puppy. It's from some Lifetime movie with Michael Emerson, who played Ben on Lost. And I don't know. I don't quite remember what exactly happened in the movie.
He was quite
but
pissed about something.
Yeah, I just remember he was mad about a puppy for some reason. And so it's like a 10-second video on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Michael Emerson, what puppy? And it's like just this 10-second video where he's just like, I forget, he's talking to somebody and he's like, what puppy? What puppy?
The greatest 10 seconds of my life.
It's so funny. It makes me laugh. So, yeah, I just, normally we don't explain those things at the end because I think most of the time they're pretty self-explanatory. But since that one was so, it was pretty much such an inside joke, I thought we should explain it. So, yeah, there you go. But now, as Eric just mentioned, we saw Doctor Strange today, so we will be spoiling that. So if you have yet to see it, this will be out a week after, so I kind of figure everybody who's gung-ho about seeing it's already going to see it. But if you haven't seen it, then just skip ahead a bit, because we're going to spoil it.
So grab a chair, young ones. I will school you.
Although, really, like, how much surprised could you be? Because it's basically going to be like, oh yeah, the good guy won. Of course the good guy won. It's,
We better
it's a fucking
win.
comic book movie. But anyway, so my favorite part of the whole movie, which I know is kind of sad, but still, I just enjoyed it so much, was the first end credits scene they have, which is after like the first 30 seconds or whatever of credits, is Thor makes a cameo.
Yeah, it was great.
It was just awesome because Thor is just like, oh, so now there's sorcerers too? Like, as if we didn't have enough shit going on. Now we have magic people. And then, like, Doctor Strange is offering him a drink. And this is the part you really liked.
I don't drink tea.
Yeah. Doctor Strange is like, well, what do you drink?
Not tea.
And then this next thing you know, he's holding this giant glass of beer, this giant mug of beer, and like it goes back to Doctor Strange for like a second or two, and then it's empty because he drank the whole thing.
Then Doctor Strange fills it back up with magic.
Yeah, which is
pretty
awesome. I thought that was funny. I also I liked the bad guy. I thought he was good. I thought, and I know I was complaining on the last episode about Benedict Cumberbatch. Not really complaining, but like I said, I'm not a huge fan of his, but I thought he was great in this movie.
Yeah, he was pretty damn well.
Perfect for the role, if you will. And he, because he's British, not sometimes people who do British accents, you can tell that they're not American. Because they either don't do a very good American accent, or they do a good one, but every now and again the English will slip out when it's not supposed to.
Did he break his accent at all?
I didn't notice. I might have missed one or two, but for the most part he seemed to have done pretty well, so that was cool. But
it's pretty funny moments in it too.
Yeah, I also just there were a lot of really funny moments in it, but I also really liked just like the themes to it of like the open your eyes and like the world is not the world you really live in or whatever. Like that one point they tell before he starts all this stuff, they tell him, they're like, forget everything you think you know because you don't really know anything. And like, I don't know, at one point in the movie, he's talking to the Ancient One, who's like his main teacher. He has a lot of people teaching him how to do magic, but that's the main one. And she tells him, she's like, you've learned so many great things, but you haven't learned the most important thing, which is that it's not all about you, which I really liked a lot, because, like, that's the hero's journey. He's got to learn to sacrifice with the good of himself to help everybody else out and everything. Which I really enjoyed that. And then, like, he actually does it, because by the end of the movie, he goes to Dormammu, who's like he's not really the bad guy, because the bad guy's the guy who's trying to bring Dormammu to Earth.
He's one of those guys where you don't want to show up in our world.
Yeah, because he's gonna like kill everybody on the planet or whatever. But so the plane of existence Dormammu lives on, time is not a thing. But because Doctor Strange has powers, he can like go back in time. So he sets up this thing where it's like a 30-second time loop, and like Dormammu keeps killing him, and like he's willing to be killed by Dormammu for the rest of his life, just so nobody else on Earth has to die. Which is, really cool for a heroic type thing.
Yeah, like Doctor Strange usually fights with like the power of ideas and principles rather than muscle and brawn.
Yeah, and I like, obviously my my favorite hero is Batman, whose like philosophy is like, I'm gonna punch you until you're not mentally insane anymore. but for the most part, I also really like the kind of characters who like can't win just by punching each other, so they gotta try and figure out a plan to beat them on a intellectual level, whereas instead of just fighting each other.
It's just kind of what Batman and the Riddler do a little bit.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Batman's smart. I mean, for crying out loud, he's the world's greatest detective. Yeah. But also, he punches people.
Imagine Batman with magic.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick.
That'd be interesting.
I love in Batman Beyond it when he's telling Terry about, like, ghosts. Well, like, Terry thinks there's a ghost in the school, and Bruce is like, so you think there are ghosts? And Terry's like, you don't believe me? He's like, of course I believe. He's like, I've dealt with anything, witches, warlocks, zombies, but he's like, ghost doesn't seem like very viable.
Yeah, it's funny to me, like, because they kind of do that in this movie too a little bit. Like he doesn't believe in magic when he first gets there and everything, and it's like, dude, you live in a world where fucking the Avengers exist. Like,
Yeah, like a big
it's
hulking man
possible
walks
magic
around.
could exist too. Um, so that kind of stuff is funny to me. But at the same time, like, I get it, because, like, if they lived in our real world, I'd be like, well, of course magic doesn't exist. But if they live in a world where fucking Thor can just magically make lightning come out of his hammer, like, yeah, I would think it's at least slightly possible
That'd be
that
kind of cool to
magic
have magic.
exists. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, and fucking they played the trailer for Fantastic Beasts before Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
and
that was great.
like I loved because there's the one part where what's his face Dan, what is his name? He was in Balls of Fury and Fanboys and all that other stuff. He's a chubby guy, but it's Dan Fogler, maybe, I don't remember.
I'm not
Dan
sure.
something, but he's in a lot of comedy movies, and he's in this, and he's like he's not a magical person, and at one point at like the very end of the trailer he goes like, I wish I was a wizard. And I was sitting in the theater and I said it out loud to where everybody could hear me. I was like, me too, bro, me too. And I don't know, so yeah, I think magic would be cool.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, that's true. But so yeah, I thought it was really good.
They
And
cast
you know,
that pretty well
and it
too.
was like they actually went through a lot of the progression of stuff that we talked about last night, because you know they did try to bring Dormammu, and he did show up near the end.
And he wasn't a cloud.
And then yeah, which was a nice change of pace. I mean, he was just kind of like a floating space head, but it was better than him just being a cloud. Uh, but then the other thing that was cool was they also planted the seed for the Doctor Strange sequel with the very end credits thing, which was they had Mordo, who's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's also really good, but he's good in everything. Like, I know his name and I know his face, but I know I've seen him in a lot of movies, but I can't tell you any one movie he's in other than in this one that I just saw. But at the end credits, he takes the magic from one of the other characters, and so he's obviously going to be, if not the main villain of the next Doctor Strange movie, he's going to at least be a villain in the next Doctor Strange movie. So I thought that was kind of cool, because you mentioned that on the last one.
Yeah, I kind of
That
saw it happening.
He becomes a villain.
A total hypocrite, because like he says he got mad at the Ancient One from drawing on power from the Dark Dimension,
Yeah.
but he doesn't understand that it was to further her life, so she could
Yeah.
be able to hold him at bay
Yeah.
from like Dormammu and stuff. But he goes and like starts taking power from another sorcerer, so that's kind of like a huge middle finger to like his principles, basically, and what
Yeah.
he claims like they were. What was it he said? Like they weren't what they said they were, like the Ancient One.
Yeah,
You know?
because Doctor Strange was like kept telling him, he's like, there's more to her than you know and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, she's not telling you everything or whatever.
I like the
But yeah.
woman that got to play the Ancient One.
Yeah.
She did. She hit it pretty well.
She was awesome. And it was cool because, like, I obviously, as I've mentioned before, I don't know a lot about the comic books, but I know in the comic books, I think the Ancient One is a dude, and you know,
Yeah.
as people on the internet are to
Quick to
do,
judge.
they complain. But I thought she was great, and B, since it's a character called the Ancient One, like it could be anybody
And,
really.
yeah, it's not really
not like-
gender specific or
it's not
even
like-
racially.
Batman, where it has to be a man, you know.
Right.
But so I don't know. Yeah, I thought she was really good.
It was very trippy and very Inception.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool special effects
Yeah.
and stuff. We watched it in 2D just because it was cheaper. And
Imagine that stuff in
and
3D.
also because I'm not a huge fan of 3D, but this is one of those few movies where I'd probably say the 3D was actually worth it. Just from what I saw going on. But yeah, so that's Doctor Strange. It was quite good.
It was amazing.
If you were on the fence, I'd say go check it out if you like, Marvel movies and stuff. And speaking of Marvel movies, last time I was down here, you mentioned to me that the only Marvel movie you hadn't seen was Ant-Man.
Oh,
so,
yes.
I had to make sure and rectify that. So, when we got home from Doctor Strange, we watched Ant-Man.
Totally loved it.
Yeah. I really enjoy it, too. And I know a big part of it is because I'm a huge fan of Paul Rudd, but I also like... It had a lot. Had a lot of funny moments, and it had a real heart because you cared about the characters and stuff.
Yeah,
And
I actually liked it a lot.
yeah,
Michael Pena could totally play my dad in a movie.
yeah, Michael Pena is great.
He is. Except that he dies in most of his movies. It sucks.
Does he? I can't really
Yeah.
I know he's another one where I know I've seen him in a lot of stuff, but I can't name anything other than that he's been in.
World Trade Center, he dies.
Oh yeah, well, of course he died in that one. Because that was what that movie
You've seen
was
End of
about.
Watch, right?
No.
Oh, well, I can't tell you that one then. Well, now it kind of just ruined it a little bit for
Yeah, a
you.
little bit, but it's okay. I mean, at least it's not as bad as Sean Bean. Sean Bean dies and everything.
Sean
is-
Bean, you must love the dramaticism of acting.
Sean Bean is like the exact opposite of Mark Wahlberg, because Mark Wahlberg never dies in any movie,
I want him
except
to.
for
Fear.
he dies in Fear, which was like
Totally justified.
one of his first movies, which I think is the only reason why he dies. I think after that movie, he like signed a contract where his characters can never die in movies, because and this is a spoiler for The Departed if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, that was like 10 years ago, so you're probably not gonna see it. But in The Departed, literally every main character dies except for Mark Wahlberg.
Did you also know that there's a series of foreshadowing in that movie where every character that does die has an X behind them at all times?
I
Yeah.
didn't.
Look it up.
I've been wanting to rewatch that movie, but it's like 2.5 hours, and
Now you need to.
I'm not a huge fan of
I'll give an
long
example.
movies,
Like when Leo's talking.
unless it's in a theater, because I can keep my attention
yeah.
better in a theater than I can at home.
Well, when Leo's talking to someone on the phone, like as he's walking, there's like X's on the windows, and I always just thought it was an unusual like frame for a window, but they're all X's, and it's like foreshadowing.
Yeah, that he's about to die.
Yeah. So
Um,
I say go watch it, people. If you have time,
Yeah.
it's a really great movie.
it is a good movie, that's for sure. But anyway, back to Ant-Man, because
Ant-Man.
I don't know, dude. It's just Ant-Man was like perfect in every way, because
It's more like a heist movie.
it's not. I mean, it's definitely a Marvel movie, but also it's a heist
Different.
movie, and it has like really funny moments. Like two of my favorite things, which are, which one is when they first like getting the offer to be Ant-Man, like the guy's like trying to be like, I know you've messed up and done some things wrong in the past, but he's like, I want you to promise me you're gonna be a better person or whatever. And then Paul Rudd goes, you're right, I promise. He's like, I'm no longer going to break into places and steal shit. And so he's like, so what do you want me to do? And Michael Douglas is like, I want you to break into a place and steal some shit. It was perfect. And then, but another reason why I love Ant-Man is because it's the movie that asks the question that I always ask, which is like, when shit goes wrong, like, why not call the Avengers? Like,
Exactly.
He's Michael Douglas is telling him, what's going wrong or whatever, and Paul Rudd goes, oh, I have the perfect idea. Let's call the Avengers. It was like that, in a world where the Avengers exist, like,
Why not?
well, yeah, exactly. Anytime obviously not like bad stuff that humans could handle, but anytime anything with like superpowers happen, like, it
Yes.
should automatically be like step
Avengers
one, call
problem.
the Avengers.
And like they can't say that it wasn't going to be a global thing because he wanted to make an army of that.
Yeah.
And that screams global terrorism.
And that,
right there.
like, not only that, but like that's totally something that
The
Captain
Avengers should have
America
handled.
would be against.
And like for crying out loud, he fought the Falcon in this movie.
Yeah, that was cool. That was
I was just telling my boy Ignacio.
yeah.
Freaking Michael Pena, I love you so much.
I do. And like what's cool is they announced that just about every character from the first one is going to be in the sequel. I was excited that they even announced a sequel because it's on the lower end. It didn't make as much money as a lot of Marvel movies do. Like, it did better than, I think, like The Incredible Hulk, and like I think it did better than one of the two Thor movies, but it, compared to, like, you know, the Captain America movies and the Avengers movies where they make like a bajillion dollars, it didn't make that much, but
Enough to hold its own, I guess. Right?
yeah, enough for them to make announce a sequel, and they're bringing back just about everybody, which means we will get more Michael Pena and more of the Russian hacker guy and more of T.I.
And they're even gonna have the Wasp.
Yeah,
actually
which
getting
they
him out.
hinted at in the the end credit scene of Ant-Man, because, you know, Michael Douglas shows his daughter the suit, and like he's like, I think, you know, we should get the suit to you or whatever. So they hinted that she was gonna suit up and be the Wasp, and the next movie is actually gonna be called Ant-Man and the Wasp. So they're definitely gonna team up,
That'd be pretty sweet.
which will be actually kind of interesting because since it's gonna happen, right now, you know, like Ant-Man and like half of the Avengers are on the run from the police. So like clearly he can't just go home. So I guess they'll have to sort that out before they can do the sequel, which I'm assuming everything will be forgiven after the Infinity War.
I didn't ever think about that. I'm like, yeah, that is pretty true.
Because the Infinity War starts not next year, but the year after, right?
Yeah.
I think that's such a long time in
It
between
is,
Avengers movies.
Because, like...
Or it feels that way. I guess it's really not, because it was 3 years between the first and second, and then it's going to be
Yeah.
3 years between the second and third. But
It seems like
it
a long time.
seems like a long time.
And, but between that, we're going to have Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians 2...
Yeah, Black
Black
Panther is 2018, but I think
It's
might
at the
be
beginning
after.
of it, isn't it? Or after it?
I think you're right. I think it is the beginning. And then
about Captain
Thor Ragnarok is
Oh, yeah, obviously.
is gonna be the last one of next year. I believe it goes Spider-Man, Guardians 2, and then Thor Ragnarok.
I can't wait for Spider-Man, dude.
Yeah,
I-
I know how much you love Spider-Man.
I would
and
too,
and I
for
love
things.
Spider-Man as well, but like, and I really like this version of Spider-Man, but because we've seen Spider-Man before, I'm more excited for stuff that we haven't seen before,
Right.
like Black Panther and I guess, I mean, technically speaking, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but because I don't know the Guardians as well as I know Spider-Man, I'm more interested for Guardians 2.
Baby
but-
Groot.
So, yeah, but I just, so speaking of the Marvel movies, now that you have officially seen all of them, what would you say your top 5 is?
Civil War, Doctor Strange, Avengers, Iron Man 1, and maybe... What was my other one? I had it in my head. Guardians.
Yeah,
that was it.
Guardians.
Yeah, that's my list for right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear, you know, not because it wasn't good or anything, but like, since it's so new, I'm surprised to hear Doctor Strange is already so high on your list.
Yeah, like, I've always liked Doctor Strange because he's always teamed up with Spider-Man, and he kind of came, like, Spider-Man's, like, mystical kind of teacher. I mean, he's not teaching him mystic arts or anything, but, like, he tells him, like, hey, the universe is a whole lot bigger out there, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, Spider-Man is in Doctor Strange's neighborhood, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, like occasionally there are some things that Spider-Man can't deal with, so he would have to need, you know, Doctor Strange or hell, even Daredevil at times have teamed up with him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Me personally, I really enjoyed the movie, and it's definitely not on the low end of my list. Probably would be in the middle somewhere though, but it would not be in my top five. I'd say my top five is I'd still put the original Avengers as number one. I'd probably put the first Iron Man as number two, and then three, I would say is Guardians, and then four would be Civil War, and five would be Ant-Man.
Well, that's not bad. I
Yeah,
like that.
I really enjoyed Ant-Man. Like, and it's funny because I know a lot of people didn't like the second Avengers movie.
It
But
was all right.
yeah, I thought I still enjoyed it. Not as
Yeah.
much as the first one, but I
I mean,
still
I'll
enjoyed
watch it
it.
if I see it on TV.
But I definitely preferred, like, because Ant-Man and the second Avengers movie both came out last year, and like it was Ant-Man quickly was one of my favorite ones, which was really cool because it was really good. And it was also funny because I loved Ant-Man so much, or I not loved Ant-Man. I didn't know that much about Ant-Man, but the original director of Ant-Man was going to be Edgar Wright, who has, I've talked about a lot. Not necessarily talked about him a lot, but I've talked about his movies because
you had a hard on for his movies.
I do, because I mention a lot on this show how much I love Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and World's End, and Scott Pilgrim is also one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah, he did that
which
too,
he
huh?
directed, and he was originally attached to be the co-writer and director of Ant-Man.
Yeah,
And
so
he
kinda
was on
falling
it
out.
for a long
Yeah,
time.
he was.
And then, like, right before they started shooting, he dropped out because I think they didn't give him enough credit. Like, not credit, but, like, I think...
Creative freedom. I
Yeah,
think.
creative freedom. And if you watch any of his movies, you can tell he's totally a guy who needs, like, all the creative freedom. So, unfortunately, he backed out. So, Ant-Man had a lot of expectations for me to live up to because I was ready to not like it because of the fact that he had left. And like I said, he's one of my favorite directors. But it ended up still being pretty good. And obviously, it's not the same stylistically as it would have been if it was his movie, but you can still tell, like, his
He had a lot
touches
of
were in there.
influence in there.
Yeah, for sure.
To my cousin Ignacio.
But yeah, I really enjoy that one. That's one of the gems, like one of the lesser looked at ones that is really great. But so yeah, Marvel, go Marvel.
Yes, you've done it
Uh,
again.
You've done it again, you genius.
Beautiful bastard.
Just when I think you can't be any better, you go and do something like this. So this is so weird. It's hard. Like, granted, most of this stuff like is different. Like, it's the same topics, but we've said different stuff about. But it's so weird. Like, because we're having to
I
re-record
know how to carry my own weight, sir. Somehow.
barely.
Yeah, I know.
For
I
me,
could do
not
better.
for you. But so there's a show that I've watched episodes over the years, like here and there, called Supernatural. I'm sure most of you have heard of it because it's been on forever.
By most of you, we mean females.
Well, especially females, but I know a lot of dudes who
I know. I'm being
have heard
petty.
of it and kind of like it as well. But so it's basically the show about like two brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester, played by Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. And they're like here and there they'll have other characters on the show, like recurring characters or whatever, but they're the two who are in every episode and always around. And they fight paranormal or supernatural stuff like demons and ghosts and haunted
They did some
this and
scary stuff. Man.
yeah, like they did. I think they did werewolves.
Really? I know they did
the
Wendigo.
Wendigos. That was like, and that was like the second or third
episode.
episode.
That was terrifying.
But so, like I was saying, yeah, that was interesting. It's funny because when I watched that, it reminded me of that game Until Dawn, because that's what
never played
a
that.
big part of Until Dawn
Oh,
is
really?
about, fighting Wendigos.
They're the things that eat people, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're like it's like a Native American like spirit like that's gone bad or whatever.
Oh, because they eat human flesh?
Yeah.
Something like that? Like they consume the soul along with it?
Yeah, something like that, because
Something like that.
But anyway, so I had seen episodes here and there over the years. It was always a show that I liked because, I'm into all that spooky shit and everything. But I never, by the time I was aware of its existence, it was already like 5 or 6 years in, and I was like, that's a lot of episodes, so I'll just, I'll wait till it's over, and then I'll watch it all. And then, like, as,
7 years later.
like, as the years go by, the show keeps coming back, and it kind of seems like it's going to be one of those shows that, as long as those two guys want to do the show, they're going to keep the show on the air. So I finally decided to give in and watch it from the beginning, and I'm only like 13 or 14 episodes into season 1 right now, and I'm finding that a lot of those episodes I had seen previously were all in season 1, because I recognize a lot of the stories and stuff.
I know that I stopped watching it, but I want to get back into it.
Yeah, it's a great show. Like, it's totally right up my alley. Like, and if you're into that kind of, haunted stuff and like spooky ghosts and everything, then it's, totally the kind of show you'd be interested in.
I know we said this earlier, but I kind of stopped watching Justified too.
Yeah.
And I really kicked myself because I love that show, and I heard that I stopped when it was getting good, and then I think one season was kind of whatever. But
yeah,
they went to what, 6 seasons?
Yeah, I'd say 4 was good, 5 was the one that, and it was still good, but it was not as
great.
good. But 6 was like the best season that show had.
Really?
And, like, it was a great final season and everything, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I believe I mentioned this before, because I did put it as one of my favorite TV shows, which we talked about on like episode 2 or 3 of the podcast. But that final season is what made me, like, is what pushed it over the edge for it to become one of my favorite TV shows.
I have to watch this now.
But yeah, I really like that show, and a lot of it's because Timothy Olyphant's just awesome.
He's
but,
awesome.
It's just thoroughly enjoyable all the way through. So yeah,
I gotta catch up on that again.
Yeah.
I think I stopped
three
after
seasons
3.
is a lot easier than 6.
Yes.
Or whatever, 7
wish
or
they
8
put it
or
on
whatever.
Netflix, dude.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime for any of you people who have Amazon Prime.
Is that free?
No.
Damn.
Amazon Prime is, I think they just started a new thing where you can pay like $10 a month and get it. But I know, like, also they do a deal where you pay $100 and you have it for the whole year.
Holy cow.
Which, like, it sucks because you have to pay that $100 all at once, but technically it's cheaper than, because, $10 a month times 12 months is 120, so you're technically saving $20, but you have to pay for it all at once instead of paying it month
I guess
to
that's
month.
not so bad if you got $100 to spare.
Yeah, and also, like, what I love about Amazon Prime is if you order stuff from Amazon, it's get everything you order from, it has to be from a Prime seller, which is Amazon and, like, Amazon trusted stores, but everything that's from a Prime seller is guaranteed to be at your house 2 days after you order it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
It is, but also it sucks because then, like, when you have to order something through the mail from somebody that's not Amazon, you get spoiled because you're like, well, it's been 3 days and it's not here.
It's not here.
But I love Amazon Prime. And it's funny because, like, all the, it used to be like all the because you really only had Netflix, so all the good shows were on Netflix. But now, like, half the good shows are on Netflix, half are on Hulu, and then the rest are on Amazon Prime. And there are obviously like carryovers, like a lot of shows on Prime are also on Netflix, but Prime does have some exclusives, like they have Justified and some other. They have a lot of older HBO shows, and like I don't know, but Prime is awesome for many reasons.
Sounds almost as sexy as me. Almost.
Almost, not
Not
quite
there yet.
But yeah, so that'll be fun to get into that show again, because like I said, I'd never really watched it all the way through. Back talking about Supernatural again, just in case you're like me and forgot what the hell was going on. But so yeah, I'm excited to get into it again and see where it goes. I know one of the things I'm looking most forward to is the meta episodes, which is like I think after like season 5 or definitely 6, because the one in particular I'm thinking of happens in 6, but they do like one episode a year where like they reference the fact they're like not necessarily reference the fact that they're a TV show, but they reference the like stuff that's going on, because in season 6 they get like taken into an alternate dimension where instead of being Sam and Dean Winchester, they're Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, and they just play Sam and Dean Winchester on a TV show. And
That's
like
great.
Like if I remember correctly, they make Jared out to be like a total diva, and they make it seem like they hate each other, even though like they're obviously they're really good friends in real life, because if they weren't really good friends in real life, then they wouldn't have been lasted on a show where they're the only two leads for
They
the
have to like
majority
each
of
other
the show. Yeah,
somehow.
like because you can be on a show like Lost or something where there's like 10 people who are main characters and not get along.
Mm-hmm.
But on a show where there's 2 main characters, you have to get along, because you're going to pretty much be in every scene of every episode with each other.
I imagine how one of their conversations start up and say, "Hey, want to spark this up?" All right.
Just like,
They're just high the entire time, and they
That-
don't remember where they're at.
that would be funny. But that would be trippy to film that kind of stuff if they were like super high the whole time.
I'm having a bad trip, man. What is this shit?
But, dude, Alfred's chopping wood.
Oh, keep in mind, we're watching BVS.
Not really watching it. I wanted
it's on.
something to be on in the background.
Alfred's chopping wood.
Yeah, I will admit, and I know we go back to this a lot, and I don't mean to. It just kind of happens. But Alfred was probably one of my favorite parts of Batman versus Superman.
Who is the guy that plays him?
Jeremy Irons.
He's the one on Game of Thrones, right?
I think he has been on it. He's not like a big character or anything. And he's not I don't think he's the one you're specifically thinking is.
Who am I thinking of?
But I think you're thinking of Ian McShane.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn, sexy
The
British man.
The priest guy.
Yes.
But yeah, I just love how like cynical Alfred is toward
Yeah.
Bruce. Like I love. There's one part where like he's like he finds like the empty bottle of Wayne or whatever, or of wine, not of Wayne. and he's like he says something to Bruce. He's like, I hope that whatever heir you leave doesn't inherit an empty wine cellar, which I thought is funny. And then there's also the one part where like Batman's out doing something and Alfred's drinking while he's helping him, and he's like, oh, maybe you'll meet a nice lady and finally settle down. And then he like takes a drink from his alcohol. It's scotch or whiskey or something. He's like, ha, yeah, right, Alfred, or in your dreams, Alfred, or something like that. It's
The
funny.
banter between him and Affleck were pretty great.
Like literally, a lot of people give it crap for not being very funny. For being too serious, I guess, not necessarily not being funny, because it doesn't have to be funny, but it does take itself very seriously.
I think
But
that's DC's biggest problem.
there are like brief moments. It's just they're not
Enough.
Yeah. So they're too few and far between that it makes the stuff seem a lot different. And also, just like everything's so dark, like just his Superman's suit is like supposed to be bright blue and red, but it's like dark, super dark blue,
And
and
he's
like
just so
super
mopey.
dark red. Yeah, he is.
Just want to slap the hell out of him.
Like the real Superman is supposed to be like happy all the time, like so happy, like you
like
hate
he's
him.
happy-go-lucky, you know?
Yeah,
Like a Boy Scout, literally.
yeah, but this version of Superman's always crying about something. But which is why, and I told you this because the other trailer they played before Doctor Strange today was for Wonder Woman, and I told you my favorite part of the Wonder Woman trailer was that her colors were actually bright.
Yes.
You could actually see them.
Not to
which
mention,
I
she just
hope
looks
they keep.
fantastic in them.
Well, yeah, but you know,
Yes.
I like that character. I really hope that that's a good movie because honestly, that's the next DC movie. But honestly, like, and you know, Suicide Squad did really good at the box office, so I don't think they have to worry about that. But
No.
if Wonder Woman isn't liked by a lot of the audience, then I think they're gonna start having problems.
Yeah, because it's kind of up to her movie right now.
Because like you don't have to, you know. I don't know, like, you don't have to be perfect or whatever, but you have to have a majority of fans like the movie, and if they don't really like it, they're not going to keep coming back. So
I have high expectations because it is
Yeah.
what, like, the very first live action female superhero leading movie that we've had.
I believe so.
Well, I mean, would you call Elektra a superhero?
I mean, I guess
Technically,
technically yes, but I never even saw
first,
Elektra,
like,
so I can't
successful,
really.
because hers wasn't successful at all.
No, I mean, I'm sure Wonder Woman will be successful, but we can't really call it successful until it happens.
Yeah, so only time will tell for that.
Yeah, but it looks good. I'm excited, you know, and being as like, as far as the comics go, I'm much more a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan. But you know,
And Marvel's hitting their stride with their live action.
The movies are definitely Marvel's winning in the movies, but on the
Video games
and
anything
on
else.
the comic books, I still prefer DC.
Yeah.
And
You were telling me
so
about that.
so I always, you know, that's why I always hope for the best with DC. But you know,
Well, you were telling me
doesn't
about that
always work out.
Batman Telltale Games game too. And It
Yeah.
sounded really interesting, but
yeah, it's fun. They're changing a lot of the continuity with, like, which I'm even okay with. Like, I know I complain about changing continuity with Batman versus Superman and stuff, but like, if they do it right, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I just, you know, which is why I think that game does it well, but I didn't think, you know, Batman versus Superman did. Also, like, and I know I harp on this a lot, but Batman should not be killing people. It's like, it's just not who Batman is.
it's not his character, not him, anyways. Because
Yeah,
Thomas Wayne obviously killed people.
yeah. I hope they do a live action version of that.
That'd be pretty cool. The Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah.
That should be what the first Flash movie would be about.
That'd be crazy.
That would be a crazy way to open that.
That Flash movie is having
Franchise.
problems.
Yeah, I heard it
They
lost
had
its
their-
director.
yeah, their second director.
What?
Yeah, because at first it was going to be directed by the guys who did 21 Jump Street, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, or Chris Lord and
That
Phil
would have
Miller.
been interesting.
I think it's Phil Lord and Chris Miller, but they were originally going to direct it, but then they got offered a Star Wars. Like, I think they got offered the Han Solo Star Wars movie, if I'm not mistaken. So they were like, "Fuck you guys, we're going to do a Star Wars movie." And like, especially if it's the Han Solo movie, I can't blame them at all.
Right. I mean, that's a way better offer,
Yeah,
I guess.
plus it's probably going to get them more money. But also, so then they brought on this new guy, and this new guy just left like last week or earlier this week or whatever. So
Why did he leave?
they never really say, but I think they called it creative differences. That's usually what they call it.
So it's gonna have its third director, and it hadn't
Yeah.
even finished filming yet.
Well, it hasn't started yet.
What?
Which, I mean, I guess technically is better. Well, I mean, technically, well, because, I think they just barely got done filming the Justice League movie. So it would make sense that the Flash movie hasn't started filming yet.
That's
But-
freaking crazy.
Yeah. But, so, I guess it's better to lose the director before it starts than in the middle of
Yeah,
filming.
that would kind of suck.
But,
to be honest.
yeah, it's still pretty, it does not bode well.
That kind of blows.
Which sucks, too, because, and obviously, I've been saying since day one, because I love the Flash TV show so much, I kind of just wish they would let the Flash TV show Flash be the same Flash in these Justice League
I
movies.
know, dude. I love Grant Gustin.
But I was, I was at least hoping, for a decent Flash movie, but I'm not so sure that that's going to be the case now.
I don't know. I hope it does well.
Yeah.
I do. But who knows? Let's see what happens. I just don't whenever we did see him in that Justice League little promo thing, he had so much lightning around him, and it was kind of annoying.
It was a little weird, but I mean, at least he was still, at least he was making jokes, which was nice. And I also liked when Batman came in to offer
For what?
the Flash to join his little ragtag. Obviously, it's going to become the Justice League, but they don't call it the Justice League in that little clip or whatever. But I love because he's he's offering to, he's getting ready to offer the Flash to join, and the Flash is like, "Stop! Whatever you're gonna say, I'm in."
Really? Just like
yeah,
that?
yeah. And he's like, I need some friends or whatever. I forget what he says exactly, but I don't know. It's perfect.
He's watching Rick and Morty.
Was he? That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
They actually did a little microphone, magnifying it, and he's watching Rick and Morty.
That's funny. So the last thing I'll say, and it kind of sucks because it's totally not nearly as organic as it was in the fucked up version. And not fucked up because it got messed up, but with the one we literally just recorded before we had to do it all over. But somehow we started talking about Ted 2, and I told you the best part of Ted 2, which you knew about the first half, but you didn't know about the second half. So for everybody who's seen Ted 2, I want to tell you, because the second half is literally my favorite thing in that movie, and it doesn't happen until after the credits, all the way through. So in Ted 2, Ted's working at the grocery store, and then Liam Neeson comes in with a box of tricks, and he comes to Ted's line, and he's all like, "I'm to understand that this cereal is only for children," and Ted's like, "Well, yeah, that's just like a slogan or whatever," and Liam Neeson goes,
So I won't be
"How?"
followed.
Yeah, he goes like, "How strictly is that enforced?" And Ted's like, "We don't enforce that at all." So Liam Neeson goes like, "So I won't be followed?" And he's like, "No, you won't be followed."
We don't have the manpower for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right. And he goes, "And there won't be any trouble." And Ted's like, "No, there won't be any trouble." So he
Gives him the money,
yeah,
like
he
a
gives
crumbled
him-
up dollar bill or something.
yeah, it's like a crumbled up $5 bill, and he's like, "I won't forget what you did here for me today." And
I
then he,
hope you did.
and then he puts it in his jacket and zips his jacket up, trying to hide it or whatever. And that was funny on its own. But then what makes it even better is after the credits, he comes back in the store, and he's all beaten up and everything, and he pulls the tricks back out of his jacket, and he comes back to get a refund or whatever, because the joke obviously being that somebody did and try to enforce the only for kids rule, which I think I don't know, it's so funny. So
I've never known that, and I have to watch that.
yeah, if you've ever seen that, if you've ever seen Ted 2 and you haven't watched the end credit, the part at the end of the credits, definitely check that out. So yeah,
We apologize for this video
yeah.
again.
I honestly I think it's gonna turn out better than it was, but it is a real bummer that we literally recorded for 58 minutes, and whatever happened, it all got fucked up.
Artists
really
suffer
sucks.
for their art.
Well, that's true. So I'll just say, I'll reiterate this again, just so you know. This is though you'll be hearing this a week later. We recorded this the day after the last one I recorded with
Continuity.
Eric. So you know, hopefully, eventually, not hopefully, well, hopefully, but not eventually, because it will happen for sure. Me and Aaron will get together and do another one, and whenever that happens, I'll be sure and put that one up as well.
You should call it the OG Returns.
Yes, for sure. But, you know, it's been great having, you know, like I said this last night, but it's just been great having somebody to do this with, because I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't have enough to say if I was just talking at my phone for 30 minutes, but...
I hope you guys don't get sick of me.
Here, like, I could talk to you, you know, and we just been talking, and it's, you know, already been almost an hour, like, nothing happened.
Yeah, witty banter helps a lot.
So yeah, anyway, thanks for being on again, man. And
no problem, dude.
thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully, something will happen next week. Either Aaron will be back, or maybe we'll have another special guest or something.
Or maybe I might come back.
Yeah, maybe.
Never knows.
We'll see what happens.
Even know.
Maybe, you know, eventually we'll get to a point where, like, you and Aaron are on the same number of episodes.
That would be freaking sweet. Like a competition going.
That'd be funny. Anyway, that's going to be it for this week. So for the Morose Project, I'm Brad Rosen.
I'm Eric Siniceros.
And always remember,
fat guys try harder. It's you, McMuffin.